Hi, so today what I want to talk about is a little thing called cognitive overload. Now, you might have seen this when a teacher talks or when someone's giving you information. It could be a lecturer, it could be anyone providing you information, and it's just so much information all in one go. Now, the problem with that is we find that we often only take really small bits of information, and some of us just it goes way over our head. So we need ways and we need strategies to help us kind of counteract this cognitive overload. Now, in research papers, you will find a concept around the different stages of memory. And so what I'm going to quickly show you is what that is. So the first part is taking the stimulus from your senses. Yeah, so your sensory information, be it through visual, auditory perception, or feel, touch, etc., smell. So these are your sensory pieces of information. And then what we have is once we've kind of taken that information, we then put it into something known as the working memory. So the next one is the working memory. Now, in the working memory, this one is a very, very important piece of engineering. And what happens there is information is sorted, information is retrieved, information is kind of understood and processed, all in this small, very limited capacity. Okay, we often find in research papers it could be anywhere between 2 to 11 items of information, which is why, for example, your PIN numbers are usually 4 numbers long, or your mobile numbers are around 11 digits long. So we do not want to get too much information in there. We want to get the main bits of information. Once we've got it into our working memory and we've processed and sorted the information, then something special happens. It either then, through some type of retrieval practice or some type of repetitive or active recall, it will then go into our long-term memory, or LTM. I'll write that for short, just so that we can keep it nice and simple. So the idea here is that in the long-term memory, you've got a very, very large capacity. We're talking almost an unlimited capacity. You get your most highest gigabyte memory computer, and your long-term memory will be able to match it potentially, right? With practice, you can do that. So how do we then, and why is it that students find it so difficult to go from the working memory, what they've understood in a lesson, when they've heard the teacher speaking, and then put it into the long-term memory? And that's not easy. And there's a lot of research now looking at the cognitive science and how the science of learning takes place. And a lot of it is to do with this information here. So what is and what can we do? And I'm going to give you a little example here of how you can spot that and how we can help ourselves as well. So let's take this example. Okay, so what I've got over here now is a bunch of letters. There are 17 letters in all. I would like you now to do what you can to remember these 17 letters. You have 1 minute to do so. No distractions. Hopefully you can get them all right. Pause the video. Off you go. Brilliant. Now, hopefully some of you, or most of you, will get 17. But doing this as a classroom activity, I found out that actually only a few were able to get it in 17, get all 17 letters. Some were under pressure, some got some muddled up. I didn't say you have to learn it in that exact order, so you could have done it in any order you wanted. All right, I just said learn the letters. But let's just say that you've learned it in that order. It's quite difficult to learn these nonsensical words or letters, as you can see in front of you. Yeah? But how about if we do this? We're now going to break it down and reduce the cognitive load by simply putting meaning into these words. NAD becomes DNA. EGCS becomes GCSE. PIS could become ZIP. BIF could be the FBI. And this one, my students love to tell me this one, YOLO could be YOLO, you only live once. Okay, so we have now created meaningful words out of something which was just gibberish. And now if I ask you to learn these words, DNA, GCSE, ZIP, FBI, and YOLO in a minute, I bet you would do that much, much more effectively. And this is what we mean by cognitive load, right? We try and we have to try and make meaning out of information that looks difficult and try and put associations and some type of information from what we already know to the newly learned information. And as a classroom practitioner, you should be thinking about, or as talking to the teachers over here, thinking about what is it that they are learning? How can I connect that back to something they already know so they can attach that information and make it more meaningful? Because then it's not disconnected facts, it's connected associations and much more stronger schemas of learning. Right, thank you for listening.